Hey guys, how you going? I hope you're all doing well and welcome to day 5 of the 30-day health kickstart. Today we're going to be talking all about exercise. What is the best type of exercise to do? What different types of exercise are there? And which one's going to be the best for you to reach your goals? Now, in the previous video, we spoke all about understanding energy balance and also understanding calories. And I briefly mentioned that most people naturally think exercise is the most important factor for when they're starting a health journey or if they're looking for weight loss. And the problem with that thinking is that exercise then becomes a bit of a chore and people start to get hung up on what type of exercise they should be doing, how often they should be doing it, what's going to burn the most calories, and of course spot reduction as well. However, exercise is obviously a fantastic tool for improving your health, and it also should be seen as something that's enjoyable and something that you look forward to, an exciting part of your day where you can move your body and really enjoy what you are capable of. But not only that, but there's a heap of health benefits that come along with it which are always going to be beneficial for lifelong health. And again, I'm going to keep saying it throughout the 30 days, but we're really focusing on lifelong health and long-term thinking rather than just thinking about quick fixes and short-term. Personally, I absolutely love my training and I don't follow a structured program. I just do whatever I feel like on the day. Some days I won't exercise at all. Some days I might just go for a walk. Some days I'll put in a couple of sessions, maybe one in the morning at the gym and maybe one at home, or some days I'll just do some handstands. I really like just to listen to my body and do what feels good because I see exercise purely as something that's enjoyable and a way to see progress in my strength and what my body is capable of. You guys are gonna love me for saying this, but when it comes to exercise and movement, there really is no one-size-fits-all approach. The type of training that you choose to do will vary depending on your age, your lifestyle, what you have available to you, your preferences, even comes down to things like your gender and your weight as well. So there really is not necessarily going to be something that works for everybody. That's why I always suggest that you try lots of different types of training and just find something that works for you, something that's going to make you want to get out of bed and go and do that type of exercise at least a couple of days a week, something that you're going to enjoy, something that's going to add something to your life and make you smile and feel like you're making progress, rather than doing something that you feel you're obliged to do or something that you're not looking forward to. That being said, I know there's tons of different training options out there and it can be really overwhelming at first to sort of look at this plethora of options and not know which one to pick because you're having terms thrown at you and people are saying, well, if your goal is this, you need to be doing this type of training, etc, etc. So we're going to run through the sort of main types of training. We're not going to cover all of them, but the main ones that you need to know about and really discuss some of the benefits to those types of training. Okay, so the key ones we're going to cover are strength training, cardiovascular training, and flexibility as well. So we'll start with strength training. Also sometimes referred to as resistance training. What we're talking about in regards to strength training is using some form of resistance to exercise with. So that could be your body weight. So when I do calisthenics, it's my body weight. That's the resistance. It could be using machines in the gym, or it could be using free weights as well. Okay, so there are tons of benefits to strength training. And obviously one of the main ones is that you can increase your muscle mass, your endurance, and your strength. And let me just add a little bit of a side note here. If you're worried that you're going to end up looking like the Hulk, do not worry, it is not going to happen. It takes a long time to build muscle, and as women, we're always going to be limited and we're just not going to look like a man. I used to think this too, and it was only when I started doing strength and resistance training that I realized I was wrong. I'll try and put a little comparison photo up of before strength training and after strength training here, so you can see the difference. Resistance training can also strengthen up your joints and improve your posture, which is a lot more important than you might think. And additionally, it can reduce your risk of sarcopenia, which is muscle wastage as you get older. It's a natural process, but if we can minimize it, that's fantastic. And also, especially for women, it can increase your bone density, which means that you have less risk of osteoporosis later on in life. This is really important because if we were to trip and fall when we got older and break a bone, it definitely has much bigger ramifications for our health than it would if we were younger. So if we can minimize those risks, it's going to be a fantastic thing to do. Finally, and I know this is something that you're all thinking, which is why I'm going to address it, but in terms of calories burnt, resistance training has a good bang for its buck. The way resistance training works is that we actually cause damage to our muscles, and these are called micro tears. Now this sounds scary, but it's actually a good thing because our body is then forced to repair these micro tears over the next few days, and the muscle will then get bigger and stronger, and this is what we term muscle hypertrophy. So not only does this process require more energy than if we were not to damage our muscles, but also as we increase the amount of muscle mass we have in our body, we also increase our basal metabolic rate, which we spoke about in the last video. So I don't want to confuse you, I'm just going to throw out a few different terms because you may have heard of these before, and so you'll have an understanding of what's being spoken about. But muscle is more metabolically active than fat is within the body. Now all this means is that it requires more energy. So if you were to take two people who were the same age, height and weight, and one had more body fat and one had more muscle mass, the person who had more muscle mass will have a higher BMR and therefore also a higher TDEE than the one who has more fat mass. All right, let's move on to cardiovascular training. So obviously we've all heard of cardio. Everybody knows what it is. It's things like walking, running, swimming, cycling, dancing, anything that gets your heart rate up. There's a couple of different types of cardiovascular training, so we're going to focus on two main ones. The first one is what we would call low intensity steady state, or you might see referred to as LISS. This is where your heart rate sits between about 50% to 70% of your maximum heart rate, but doesn't go above that. Think of this as a nice long 5 or 10 kilometer walk. We're not raising our heart rate, you can easily talk to a friend as you're walking alongside, and this is great for building up endurance. The next one we're going to talk about is high intensity interval training. You guys would have heard of this one a million times. It's super popular. This is what I did when I was initially losing weight, and I know that you're going to ask me which videos I used. I will pop them up here if I remember to. But high intensity interval training is when we get our heart rate skyrocketing, working above 70% of our maximum heart rate. Because we're getting that heart rate really, really high, it's hard to maintain it for longer periods. So what we end up doing is putting it into intervals. So we work really, really hard at that high capacity for a short time, then have a short break, and then we go back into it. So we're giving ourselves those little bursts of exercise. Why people really love HIIT training is because it's short and sharp. It packs a punch, it's quick, you can get a workout done in 20 or 30 minutes, you can feel like you're sweating, and people love feeling like they're out of breath and they've worked really hard. And so yeah, that's why people love it. But you can also incorporate strength training into HIIT as well. So what are some of the benefits of cardiovascular training? Well, obviously it's in the title. It improves your cardiovascular health. Essentially, it's going to get your lungs and your heart and your blood pumping around your body, keeping you in tip-top condition. It can reduce your blood pressure over time, it can reduce your risk of type 2 diabetes, and many other lifestyle conditions such as stroke and heart disease. Okay, so let's briefly touch on flexibility. Now, I think most people are either stretching people or not stretching people. I am not a stretching person. I would love to skip it because I'm not flexible and it hurts. So I try to avoid it as much as possible. However, there are some huge benefits to making sure you're putting flexibility training or mobility work into your schedule. It helps improve your range of motion and also your mobility, which in turn reduces the risk of injury, and just helps support a healthy musculoskeletal system. So those are the three main types of training that I wanted to touch on, but I also wanted to mention that you can actually combine strength training and cardio training, and we often see this in the form of circuits, intervals, or like I mentioned, high intensity interval training as well. All right, listen up, we're going to talk about some common misconceptions when it comes to exercise and choosing which type of exercise to do. Now, I know it's easy to look at exercise and focus on the fact that it's a tool to reach aesthetic goals. And while, yes, we can change our body composition over time through exercise, and of course it's a way of burning calories, there is definitely misconceptions around this. And the first one we're going to talk about is that you can spot reduce fat. Let's take core workouts as an example, because we've all been there. I did actually make a video on this recently, which I will pop up in the corner here if you want to check it out. But essentially the key takeaway is core workouts are really, really important and fantastic for strengthening your core, which is going to be beneficial for reducing your risk of injury, improving your posture, making exercise easier for you in the future. However, no amount of planks and crunches are going to give you visible abs unless you have your nutrition right. Essentially what I'm saying here is it's impossible to spot reduce fat, aka we can't choose where on our body the fat comes from. I remember when I was losing weight, I wanted it to come from my legs and my hips because that's where I hold most of my weight. Of course, that was like the last place it comes from, and I still hold most of my weight in those areas. Unfortunately, that is just the way it is. So trying to focus on not picking exercises purely because you think it will burn fat in a certain area or it will give you a certain aesthetic. Remember, we're here for the long term. We want it to be sustainable. We want to enjoy it, most importantly. So try to find something that you enjoy, and if weight loss is your goal, remember that nutrition is going to be the most important factor for that. Kind of on a similar note, I just want to remind you that exercise is not just about burning calories. It's about feeling stronger. It's about improving your health, improving your lifelong health as well. It's about setting an example to your family, to your partner, to your kids. It's about enjoying yourself, having a part of your day where you can relax and enjoy time to yourself. All these things are far more important, in my opinion, than just burning calories. That's just an added benefit. Next, remember that what might work for someone else might not necessarily work for you, and that is totally okay. I don't train like a traditional person. I don't go and lift heavy weights. I go and do handstands and pistol squats and try to flip over and do silly stuff on the bars. That's my style of training. Just because I enjoy that doesn't mean someone else is going to enjoy that, and similarly, just because someone else enjoys doing deadlifts doesn't mean that I'm going to enjoy deadlifts. So just find a style of training that you enjoy. Again, just bring it back to the fact that exercise should be something that you enjoy. It should be a good part of your day and something that you can sustain long term, rather than feeling like you're obliged to do it. All right, so let's have a little bit of a chat about some of the key takeaways from this video. So when you're choosing your type of training, the most important factor that you need to think about is the fact that consistency is key. As always, consistency is important for everything, and there's no difference for training. So to remain consistent with your exercise, you should really just choose something that you enjoy and something that fits into your lifestyle and that you look forward to doing. Remember, this is a long-term commitment to your health, so make it sustainable. You don't need to go in 100 miles an hour, you don't need to go and work out every single day, and you don't need to necessarily have a set program, although we will be covering this later on this month. Variety is a great thing, and I think combining lots of different types of training is going to be really, really beneficial, especially if you're a beginner. So try to have a good mixture of different types of training. You don't have to just do one thing. So having a mixture of cardio training, some type of strength training, and some flexibility and mobility work is going to be ideal for you. How you do that is completely up to you. As an example, for the last 8 months, I have been injured, and for 6 months of that, I wasn't able to train. The only thing that I was able to do was walk, and even that was painful. But I made it my mission to walk, so I walked at least 2 hours a day, 1 hour in the morning, 1 hour in the evening, because that's all I could do, and it wasn't fast because I was hobbling along. Through doing this, I managed to maintain a reasonable level of fitness. My body didn't change too much in the way it looked. I lost a little bit of muscle, but that's to be expected. And also, I kind of kept my sanity as well, because for me, training is a chance to just decompress and relax and focus on what I'm doing in the present rather than worrying about all the other things I have to do. So even if all that you can do is walk, that is perfect. It's still getting out, it's still moving your body, giving you a chance to see progress and just to feel good about yourself. So don't focus on always having to go in 100%. I would definitely recommend getting strength training in because of all the benefits that we spoke about previously. However, if calories are your focus, this will also be your friend. So focus on full body workouts and trying to get compound movements into those workouts. That means using multiple large muscle groups rather than just isolating a single muscle. All right guys, in the next couple of weeks we will also be going through how to make programs, how to know when to progress your exercise, and how do you know exercise is working. But until then, I hope this video has given you an idea of the different types of training there is and also how you can incorporate it into your life, but with the focus of it being something that you enjoy and something that's more of a motivator and an added benefit to your nutrition. Thank you so much for watching guys, and I hope you're enjoying the series so far. Every week I'll be giving away 3 copies of my ebook, and if you're interested in winning, what you need to do is head over to Instagram and find this post, tag 2 of your friends, screenshot this video, and also post that to your Instagram stories and tag me, but the details will be down below. Every day with every new video is a new chance to enter, and those entries also go into the end of the month prize, which is to win 2 months of free coaching as well. So make sure you head over to Instagram and tag your friends, also put this in your Instagram stories. Thank you so much for watching guys, I will chat to you very soon.